Hello and welcome to the Trial Guides Tip of the Day. My name is Michael Leeserman here this Thursday, December 7th, 2023. Today's tip comes from David Ball on damages, and we have David Ball here to read it.
If you leave the jurors alone on the topic of harm and damages, they will return the favor.
So we are so lucky to have you here today, David. I think that lawyers forget, or maybe lawyers now have been practicing since your book, David Ball on Damages, came out, and how groundbreaking it was for you to say what is so obvious to so many of us now, which is talk about the damages. That's what you're there for, to get a verdict, and don't ignore the damages. But until you came along, a lot of people were ignoring them. So I know that we're now many decades into your good advice. And as that's evolved, what more can you tell us about that, about not leaving damages alone?
Well, the first rule of any kind of presentation, be it from a lawyer or a play or a movie or a sermon or anything where you are presenting stuff to people who are dancing, dance, music, a trial is about whatever it spends its time being about. And there's a very strong characteristic of the brain. It's called a bias, but I don't like using that word because bias always means something negative. Simply is this. When we make a decision, we use the information that's been running around in our brains just a little while before we have to make the decision. So if you leave out of all that information, the damages, the harm and the damages, there's no way that that's really going to help you drive damages. And in some cases, that's fine. The negligence has been so outrageous that that's going to do all the driving. But in 95% of cases, it's not quite like that. And you still need a substantial foundation of damages. And you're right. When I came along and started doing this, one of the first things I noticed is people would do an elaborate opening or a whole trial about liability. Did this cause that? And you shouldn't have done this or done beautifully. And so at the end, we're going to come along and ask you for some money. Okay. People were afraid. They're still uncomfortable making the ask. And yet that's the only important reason you've gone to trial. That's why you went. Otherwise, why on earth would you go to this trouble? Why would your client go through all this agony of reliving the awful thing that happened? When that's what's on their jurors' minds, one of the harm and damages, harm and losses. I usually use that phrase harm and losses because that covers everything there is to damages, but you don't have to. When that's one of the things that's in the jurors' minds, that becomes one of the reasons, one of the bases on which they come to their decisions. And you countless times hear jurors say, either in focus group deliberations or talking to them after trial, you frequently hear them say, I feel bad for the defendant because really all they did was take their eyes off the road for a minute, but look at how they left this poor person. That's totally a damages driver. That's where they didn't even think it was very bad to do what the defendant did. So it's very important, I think, to make sure that you learn everything you can learn. And at the time, this book on damages was the only thing out there. There was nothing else. And what I love about when I look back at my 30 years in this business on it, when I look back at all that, there's been sort of a blossoming on stuff about damages, leaving lawyers with all kinds of tools to be able to pursue damages. Don't just walk in and think, oh my God, I feel bad for my client, so they will too. No, you have to help them. That's what it means to be an advocate. You are speaking for the pain and the suffering of your client. Advocate needs to speak for. It's not you're just speaking for your client, you're speaking for that pain, suffering, the agony, whatever it is. So that's what this is about.
Wonderful. A way to be a true advocate, to really embody what your client's gone through and bring it to the jury. And like you said, a lot of the work since your book came along, and now, all the trial guides books and other writings out there really have to do with the lawyer being comfortable asking for the money, owning
Yeah.
that.
It's asking for the money, and it's being comfortable, not just comfortable, but intimately familiar with your client's life, particularly in large cases of highly catastrophic injury. But even with smaller, jurors sense when you're acting like an accountant when it comes to the harms and the losses. They feel that. There's this, and then there's that, and then, oh, by the way, there's this over here, and don't forget to put this on the ledger, as if you're someone's accounting, saying, here's your profits and losses for the years, rather than you're talking about somebody you know intimately. You're talking about somebody who actually personally means something to you. Your empathy for your client will transmit to the jury when you're talking to them. And your lack of empathy, real feeling for what that person's going through, will also convey to the jury. It's just like a good actor, as opposed to an actor who just stands there and recites his lines. You want to be the good actor.
Thank you for your wisdom this Thursday, David.
Thank you for letting me spout my wisdom, Michael. I appreciate it.
Let's take a deep breath together and appreciate the fact that we are alive this Thursday. May we be grateful for the opportunity of another day to go out and use our efforts, our work as lawyers, as legal professionals, paralegals, or whatever we do in the world to help reduce suffering in the world. May we help repair the world in the work we do today. May we fiercely and compassionately advocate for our clients. May we champion their stories. I'm going to ring a bell 3 times now. This can take you into a meditation practice, a prayer practice, or just remind you, it's Thursday. Wake up, go out, do good things, and have fun while you're doing it. Have a great day.